The richest lesson hidden inside Japanese minimalism is not about owning less. It is about wanting less from the wrong things. Long before modern investing apps, credit cards, online shopping, and endless advertisements, Japan had people who understood something most societies forget. Wealth does not disappear only through poverty. It disappears through distraction. It disappears through pride. It disappears through the quiet habit of turning every desire into a purchase. In the Edo period, merchants walked through wooden streets filled with rice traders, silk sellers, tea houses, paper lanterns, and counting rooms where family ledgers were guarded like sacred documents. Some of these merchants became wealthy, but their wealth did not always look loud. It was not always displayed in gold, jewelry, or wasteful comfort. Often, it was hidden behind restraint, discipline, and a deep understanding of human behavior. Because the merchant who could control his desire could control his money. And the merchant who could control his money could protect his family for generations. This is the wealth psychology hidden inside Japanese minimalism. To understand it, we must enter a world where reputation was currency, waste was danger, and patience was not just a virtue, it was a financial strategy. During the Edo period, Japan experienced long stretches of peace, urban growth, and a rising merchant class. Cities like Edo, Osaka, and Kyoto became centers of trade, accounting, storage, rice exchange, and family businesses. Merchants were not warriors, and they did not hold the highest social status. But many of them understood money with extraordinary seriousness. They knew that wealth was fragile. A bad season could damage trade. A reckless heir could destroy a family name. A poor decision could weaken years of effort. So merchant families developed habits that protected capital. They recorded expenses. They valued trust. They avoided unnecessary risk. They taught children not only how to earn, but how not to waste. Their lives were not minimal because they had no imagination. They were minimal because they understood opportunity cost. Every coin spent on vanity was a coin that could not be used for inventory, land, rice, tools, emergency reserves, or future expansion. Every unnecessary luxury carried a hidden price. It did not only cost money, it cost options. This is where Japanese minimalism becomes more than appearance. It becomes strategy. In traditional Japanese thought, simplicity often carried moral and practical meaning. A room with fewer objects created clarity. A life with fewer distractions created discipline. A household with fewer wasteful habits created financial strength. The principle of mottainai, the regret over waste, was not only about objects, it was about respect for resources. To waste money was to disrespect the effort that created it. To waste time was to disrespect the future that depended on it. And to waste attention was to surrender control of the mind. Modern consumer culture works in the opposite direction. It teaches people to confuse movement with progress, upgrades with success, and purchases with identity. A new phone, a new car, a new outfit, a new subscription, a new lifestyle. Each one appears small in isolation, but together they form a silent tax on the future. This is why minimalism is not simply a design choice. It is a defense system. It protects the mind from the pressure to consume. It protects income from being swallowed by status. It protects long-term investing from short-term emotions. The Edo merchant understood a truth that behavioral economics now explains with modern language. People are not always rational with money. They are emotional. They are influenced by comparison, fear, pride, comfort, and urgency. A person may know they should save, yet still spend to feel respected. A person may understand investing, yet still panic when markets fall. A person may want freedom, yet constantly exchange future freedom for present pleasure. This is the hidden battle. The battle is not only between rich and poor, it is between impulse and discipline. Japanese minimalism enters this battle quietly. It asks one question before every purchase: does this strengthen my life or only decorate my weakness? That question changes everything. A merchant who practiced restraint did not see every sale as profit. He also saw every expense as a decision. He understood that money kept inside the business could compound. Inventory could grow, relationships could deepen, a trusted name could become more valuable over time. The family could survive storms that destroyed careless competitors. This is compound wealth before the modern stock market. Compounding is not only a mathematical force, it is also a behavioral force. Small habits repeated over time create large outcomes. Small savings repeated over years become capital. Small acts of patience repeated through market cycles become investing discipline. Small refusals to waste become a life with more choices, but compounding works in both directions. Debt can compound. Bad habits can compound. Lifestyle inflation can compound. Emotional spending can compound. A person can earn more money every year and still feel trapped because their desires grow faster than their income. This is one of the great modern mistakes. People think the opposite of poverty is luxury, but often the opposite of poverty is stability. Luxury can be rented with debt. Stability must be built with discipline. In the old merchant house, financial strength was not only about income, it was about resilience. Could the family survive a bad year? Could the business withstand a slow season? Could the next generation inherit wisdom, not only assets? This is where the samurai spirit connects to money. The samurai was trained to master fear, appetite, anger, and distraction. The merchant had to master a different battlefield: greed, impatience, comparison, and pride. One battlefield used the sword, the other used the ledger, but both required discipline. Money reveals the self. It shows whether a person can wait, whether they can say no, whether they can think beyond the present mood, whether they can separate real need from social performance. Japanese minimalism teaches that not everything beautiful must be owned. Not every desire deserves obedience. Not every increase in income should become an increase in spending. This lesson matters today more than ever. Modern life is designed to make restraint difficult. Advertising studies your weakness. Algorithms learn your desires. Stores follow you across screens. Social media turns other people's lifestyles into daily pressure. Even silence has become difficult to afford, because every quiet moment can be filled with a product, a video, a trend, or a comparison. The modern investor does not only fight markets, he fights noise. He fights headlines that create panic. He fights influencers selling urgency. He fights the feeling that everyone else is getting richer faster. He fights the temptation to abandon a long-term plan because short-term emotion feels stronger than reason. This is why minimalism strengthens investing psychology. When a person becomes comfortable with less noise, they become harder to manipulate. When they stop needing constant external validation, they become less vulnerable to status spending. When they respect simplicity, they begin to see money as a tool for freedom, not a costume for approval. The practical lesson is not to live without comfort. The lesson is to make comfort serve the future, not weaken it. Spend on what improves your life. Protect yourself from what only improves your image. Build reserves before display. Invest consistently before upgrading lifestyle. Study your habits before blaming your income. Let your money reflect your values, not your insecurities. The ancient merchant would not ask, "Can I afford this today?" He would ask, "What does this cost my future?" That is the question most people avoid, because the real price of spending is rarely written on the receipt. The real price is the investment not made, the emergency fund not built, the debt not avoided, the peace not protected, the freedom delayed. Minimalism reveals that wealth is not only accumulated by earning more, it is also accumulated by leaking less. A disciplined life creates fewer leaks. Fewer leaks create more capital. More capital creates more options, and more options create the quiet power that many people mistake for luck. But this power is not loud. It does not always announce itself. It may look like an old notebook filled with expenses, a simple home, a calm investor who does not panic, a family that teaches patience, a person who refuses to impress strangers at the cost of their own future. This is the kind of wealth that survives, not because it is hidden from the world, but because it is protected from impulse. The Japanese lesson is not that money is evil or that beauty should be rejected. It is that money must be guided, desire must be examined, consumption must be disciplined, and the future must be respected before it arrives. Because the person who spends without awareness is not free. He is being led by every advertisement, every comparison, every fear, every craving. But the person who can choose simplicity becomes difficult to control. He can wait, he can invest, he can endure, he can think in decades while others think in weekends. And over time, that difference becomes visible. Not always in noise, not always in luxury, not always in public display, but in calmness, in resilience, in choices, in the ability to face uncertainty without desperation. That is the wealth psychology hidden inside Japanese minimalism. It is not the art of having nothing. It is the art of protecting what matters. It is the discipline to remove what weakens the future. It is the wisdom to understand that every coin, every habit, every desire, and every decision is quietly shaping the life that is coming. And perhaps the most powerful form of wealth is not the ability to buy everything you want. It is the ability to no longer be ruled by wanting everything.